Hello, CP Finite, and welcome to 1.2 Graphing Linear Systems application. So this time we're going to be graphing two lines at once, only beginning to get into the application phase of these questions. So, Dvorsky's Delights is selling boxes of candy consisting of dark chocolate squares and peanut butter cups. Each box sells for $8 and holds 50 pieces of candy. All that stuff. So anyway, the first step for these word problems, I know everybody's afraid of them, not everyone. Just identify your variables. Take it slow, identify your variables, and you can do that simply by looking at the question itself. It says, okay, how many squares and cups should be in each box? So whatever is being asked of you is typically going to be your variables. Okay, and I do tell you that in the problem itself. So we're going to have dark chocolate be our x, and we will let cups be our y. Simply by doing that, that can help you for step 2, in which you want to create two equations, okay? The way I like to kind of think of this is I like to make myself a little chart. You don't need to do this, but a lot of times this can be helpful, okay? And in the left column, I'll have my x, which is dark chocolates. And in this column here, I will have my y, which are cups. And then in the last spot, okay, each of these, what are they going into? So each box, okay, each of these is going into a box. So the next piece is deciphering what goes into which equation, okay? It's normally pretty easy. So all I do know is that within each box, I'm going to have dark chocolates, and I'm going to have regular cups, and in each box, okay, let's see here, each box sells for 8, holds 50 pieces. Really, you need to decipher and you need to look back at the problem. So each box contains 50 pieces. We can call this our amount equation, perhaps, okay? Not really a formal name, but that's what we'll call it. All right, the next thing we have not used are things like the costs. So let's look back, okay? Each box sells for $8, holds 50 pieces of candy. So we have a cost here. What else do we have? Dark chocolates cost 10 cents to produce, and peanut butter cups cost 20. So let's just begin to fill everything in here. So dark chocolates cost 10 cents, so that'll be 0.10. And cups cost 0.20. They must be more expensive because of the peanut butter. And then you set it equal to $8. You want all of your units to match up. A lot of students always forget about this amount equation. Sometimes it's as easy as x plus y equals 50. Okay? Those are your two equations. Next, you want to graph them. And I recommend using the table method. So this is where it can be very nice and easy for you. Use the table method in that you want to find the x and y intercepts. So for equation 1, if you type everything in, so if you put in 0 for x, you end up getting 50. And if you plug in 0 for y, you end up getting 50. That's for the first equation. And this is the table method. So all I did is I substituted 0 in for x, and then I got y is equal to 50. If you sub 0 in for y, you get x is equal to 50. Okay? A pretty simple deduction, I hope, from those values there. Let's fix up our table once more. Okay? The second equation is going to take a little more solving, okay? So let's put our variables in there. 0.10x plus 0.20y equals $8. If you use the table method for both of those, you end up getting 0. If you plug in 0, you have 0.20. Y equals 8. And you get y is equal to 40. And if you do the opposite, you get 80 and 0. I'm going through this quickly because these skills should be pretty fresh and how to find those, okay? If you are not sure where any of that's coming from, you need to look back through your notes, ask for help. Graphing table method. And keep these steps in mind when you're doing these problems. Step 1, step 2, step 3. So we need to actually graph these. The idea of this is, I know in my x direction, let's find the biggest one. 80 is the biggest in my x. So if we actually go, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we do every 4 is 20. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that will get us there. And in the same direction, 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 2, 2. Okay, I need to get up to at least 50. Okay, so that would actually be kind of right in there. Anyway, let's graph these. Don't forget to label. So on the x-axis, let's remember what those are. These are dark chocolates. Dark chocolates. Okay? On the y-axis, these are our cups. Peanut butter cups. Okay? I know I'm jamming it all in there right now, but just remember those things. Okay? That'll help us for the break-even point in a moment. And let's just graph our equation. So 50 to 50. 50, 20, 40, 50. That's an easy line for equation number 1. Let's find my lines here. There you go. Right about there. Pretty nice. Okay. The second equation, 40 to 80. I will try to, I won't promise, to get the numbers to work out nicely. I know they stress students out, so that's just a little thing there. Do be sure to always recognize this is your x, okay? So you want to plug it on the x. I do see students typically make mistakes whenever graphing these things. Okay, so try not to do that. We'll use a little lighter color so we can tell the difference. Bada bing, bada boom. And just like before, where they intersect is your solution. I don't want to change that. Okay. Where they intersect right there is your solution. And in our case, that's what we call the break-even point. So at the point it looks to be over 20, up 30 is the break-even. Now determining this, don't just write 20, 30, because what it means is I need to produce or pack 20, are they cups? No, dark chocolates. And 30 peanut butter cups for maximum profit, we'll say. Not for maximum profit, sorry. For us to break even. Okay, that is just the case for this particular scenario. Okay, dark chocolates, cups. Again, the 4 steps, really, they're going to be the same. So if you take anything away, really it's about analyzing what's in the equation, making your equations, and graphing them. Okay, let's move on to the second problem. It's an investment problem, which will also be rather common in this class. Mr. Smith is retired, needs to make $10,000 per year in supplementary income. My parents have something similar to this. When you retire, you don't have a job unless you get one, so you can invest a lot of your money to help you in that regards. Okay, so he has $150,000 to invest. The variables we are going to use are, again, how much should he invest in each? So we have 2 things, the bonds, and we have savings and certificates. So let those be your variables. X is bonds, Y is savings. Okay, let's create our equations, one of which is going to involve all the percentages and how much money we need to make. Okay, so we know that he wants to make $10,000 in extra. He's going to do that by investing in bonds and savings, which come at 10% and 5%. So one equation is going to have all of your percentages and also how much you want to make off of that interest. In the other equation, it's the simple x plus y and how much money he has to invest. He only has $150,000 to split up in both of those. So those are your two equations. Don't forget about that one. This is most commonly the one that's forgotten about. Okay? And really, it is about practicing these. I know a few of you are like, I got this. This is no problem. But really, you need to practice these problems. You need to decipher what's in them and just write down the equations. Okay? Graph, again, I recommend the table method. The table method is pretty simple because it gives you your intercepts. So x and y, this is for the first graph. You get 0, 150,000. Sorry, this is for the second graph. And you get 150,000 and 0. For the first graph, x and y, again, finding the intercepts, here you get 0 and 200,000, and you get 0 and 100,000. Table method, plugging in zeros, finding the intercepts. Now again, x is AAA or AA bonds, and these are actual things. And then on our y, we have certificates. Now, as far as the scaling goes, I believe I do every 10 is 10,000, okay, or every 1 is 10,000. So 10,000, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200. I also use the same going up. 100, 200. For those that don't know, if you do 200K, that means 200,000. Anyway, let's just plot our points so we can get this finished here. So the first graph I will do in, we'll say, just green. Why not? So it is, if we go with green here, to keep in suit, we'll go with green for number 2. So 150, 150, not too bad. 100, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll find a little line here. Do, 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 do. And connect those two. Okay, that's how much he's spending across the board. Now the first graph, or this, yes, the first graph, so to speak. 0, 200, and then 100,000. And if we connect both of those, you'll see it'll cross through about there. So our intersection point is at 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So 50,000, comma, and it looks like 100 and, let's see, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Actually just 100,000. That will get him his supplemental income. Okay, so the ideal investment is Mr. Smith should invest $50,000 in AA bonds and 100,000 in loan certificates. Okay, there are financial analysts out there and a lot of people that help others with their finances. Okay, my parents have a financial advisor. Most people do. just to work through things like this. A lot of people don't have the time in their day to figure stuff like this out. There's a lot of money to be had in those types of jobs if you have an interest, okay? So that's about it. Make sure that you follow those 4 steps. Key thing is, all right, setting up your equations so everything is in the right spot, okay? So do your best on some of the practice problems to come, and we'll practice them in class. Thanks, guys, for watching, and have a nice rest of your day.